I didn't run Downton for 30 years. To see it go, lock, stock and barrel to a stranger from God knows where.
Are we to be friends, then?
We are allies, my dear, which can be a good deal more effective. Don't you care about Downton?
What do you think? I've given my life to Downton. I was born here, and I hope to die here. I claim no career beyond the nurture of this house and the estate. It is my third parent and my fourth child. Do I care about it? Yes, I do care.
Hope I don't hear sounds of a disagreement.
Oh, is that what they call discussion in New York?
Mamma, may I present Matthew Crawley and Mrs. Crawley, my mother, Lady Grantham?
What should we call each other?
Well, we could always start with Mrs. Crawley and Lady Grantham.
It's a cottage hospital, of course, but quite well equipped. Who pays for it?
Oh, good. Let's talk about money.
What will you do with your time?
I've got a job in Ripon. I said I'll start tomorrow. A job? In a partnership. You might have heard of it, Harville and Carter. They need someone who understands industrial law, I'm glad to say, although I'm afraid most of it will be wills and conveyancing.
You do know I mean to involve you in the running of the estate.
Oh, don't worry. There are plenty of hours in the day. And, of course, I'll have the weekend.
We'll discuss this later. We mustn't bore the ladies.
What is a weekend? And I say, get rid of her.
Will that not be awkward? I gather she's planning to stay in the village for the foreseeable future.
No one can foresee the future, Doctor. Not you, not I, and certainly not Mrs. Crawley.
I don't dislike Matthew. In fact, I rather admire him.
Is that sufficient reason to give him your money?
Well, of course not.
Then there's nothing more to be said. Are we going to have tea or not?
She's so curious about other people's lives. If she wishes to leave, and the law permits it, then let her go.
Well, perhaps the law should not permit it. For the common good.
So you hanker for the days of serfdom?
I hanker for a simpler world. Is that a crime?
Dowager Countess.
Oh, my dears. Is it really true? I can't believe it. Last night, he looked so well. Of course, would happen to a foreigner. It's typical.
Don't be ridiculous.
I'm not being ridiculous. No Englishman would dream of dying in someone else's house. Especially someone they didn't even know.
Oh, Granny, even the English aren't in control of everything.
Well, I hope we're in control of something, if only ourselves.
But we're not. Don't you see that? We're not in control of anything at all.
Edith, go and tell Mary to come back at once and apologize to her grandmother.
No, leave her alone. She's had a shock. We all have. Just let her rest. No, just the ticket. Nanny always said sweet tea was the thing for frayed nerves. So why it has to be sweet, I couldn't tell you. How about some house parties?
She's been asked to one next month by Lady Anne McNair.
Well, it's a terrible idea. She doesn't know anyone under 100.
I might send her over to visit my aunt. She could get to know New York.
Oh, I don't think things are quite that desperate. Poor Mary. She's been terribly down in the mouth lately.
She was very upset by the death of poor Mr. Pamook.
Why? If she didn't know him, one can't go to pieces at the death of every foreigner. We'd all be in a state of collapse whenever we opened a newspaper.
Someone to see you, Mr. Crawley.
There's nothing in my diary.
It's Lady Grantham.
Well, in that case, show her in at once.
Cousin Cora, to what do I owe the...
Oh, I hope I'm not a disappointment. Do you think Robert has thrown in the towel prematurely? Good heavens, what am I sitting on?
A swivel chair.
Oh, another modern brainwave?
Not very modern. They were invented by Thomas Jefferson.
Why does every day involve a fight with an American?
I'll fetch a different one.
No. I'm a good sailor.
Mrs. Crawley, how nice.
You're busy, we can come back later.
Molesley, what are you doing here? Are you ill?
Poor Mr. Molesley. How's it going?
The solution doesn't seem to make it any better.
My imagination's running riot.
I've got erysipelas, Your Ladyship.
Oh, I am sorry.
Mrs. Crawley tells me she's recommended nitrate of silver and tincture of steel.
Well, is she making a suit of armour?
But I take it there's been no improvement.
Not really.
And you're sure it's erysipelas?
That is Mrs. Crawley's diagnosis.
What it is to have medical knowledge.
It has its uses.
I see your father has been making changes at home.
He has, my lady. He's got no use for the herb garden now my mother's gone, so he's turned it to grass.
And you've been helping him?
I have.
Grubbing out the old rue hedge.
How did you know that?
Because this is not erysipelas. This is a rue allergy. If Molesley wears gardening gloves, it'll be gone in a week. Please don't think we're ungrateful for your enthusiasm, Mrs. Crawley, but there comes a time when things are best left to the professionals. And now I really must go. Good day.
Thank you, Your Ladyship. The Grantham Cup. It was donated by the late Lord Grantham for the best bloom in the village.
And who won it?
I did.
Well done. And the year before?
Her Ladyship won that one too.
Heavens! How thrilling. And before that?
You've met my father.
Good afternoon, Mr. Molesley. What are you showing this year?
Oh, this and that. Only the finest roses in the village.
Really? What an achievement.
It's a wonderful area for roses. We're very lucky. We'll see some beautiful examples right across the show, won't we, Mr. Molesley?
If you say so, Your Ladyship.
Flower show? Oh, I thought I was in for another telling off about the hospital.
No, this time it's the flower show. I've been to see old Mr. Molesley's garden, and his roses are the most beautiful I've ever laid eyes on.
Go on.
You may not know it, but I believe the committee feel obliged to give you the cup for the best bloom as a kind of local tradition.
No, I do not know that. I thought I usually won the prize for best bloom in the village because my gardener had grown the best bloom in the village.
Yes, but you don't usually win, do you? You always win.
Yes, I have been very fortunate in that regard.
But surely when Mr. Molesley's garden is so remarkable and he's so very proud of his roses...
You talk of Mr. Molesley's pride. What about my gardener's pride? Is he to be sacrificed on the altar of Molesley's ambition?
All I'm asking is that you release them from any obligation to let you in. Why not just tell them to choose whichever flower is best?
But that is precisely what they already know. And do. You seem well prepared.
They'll add a few more flowers before we open in the morning, but I think we're nearly there.
Do look at Mr. Molesley's display. He's worked so hard.
Rather marvellous, aren't they?
Lovely. Well done, Mr. Molesley.
Thank you, my lady.
I think everyone is to be congratulated. It's splendid.
But do look at these roses. Have you ever seen the like?
My dear, Mrs. Crawley believes I'm profiting from an unfair advantage.
Oh?
She feels in the past I've been given the cup merely as a matter of routine rather than merit.
That's rather ungallant, Mother. I'm sure when we see Cousin Violet's roses, it'll be hard to think they could be bettered.
Hard, but not impossible.
You are quite wonderful the way you see room for improvement wherever you look. I never knew such reforming zeal.
I take that as a compliment.
I must have said it wrong. And now the Grantham Cup for the best bloom in the village. And the Grantham Cup is awarded to... Mr. William Molesley, for his Comtesse Cabarrus Rose.
Bravo! Well done! Bravo!
Congratulations, Mr. Molesley.
Thank you, milady. Thank you for letting me have it.
It's the judges who decide these things, not me. But very well done.
Bravo, Mama. That must have been a real sacrifice.
And bravely born.
I don't know what everyone's on about.
But
All is well, my dear. All is well.
I want to do some canvassing. The by-election isn't far off.
Canvassing?
I was quite safe. You run a group and you knock on doors.
Yes, I know what canvassing is.
I think that Sybil is...
What? Are you canvassing too? Or would you rather take in washing?
I was only going to say that Sybil is entitled to her opinions.
No. She isn't until she is married. Then her husband will tell her what her opinions are.
Oh, Granny.
But who's it from?
Susan Flincher.
What does she say?
Well, prepare yourself for the worst. Not the first page. My poor niece never uses one word when 20 will do. Start there. I'm sorry.
I am sorry to have to tell you that Hugh has heard a vile story about your granddaughter, Mary.
Sorry. She's thrilled. Now, first I must ask, and I want you to think carefully before you answer. Is any of this true? I see. Some of it is true. How much? Oh, dear.
She didn't drag him.
I wondered about that. I mean, obviously Susan's forgotten the distance between the girls' rooms and the bachelor's corridor.
She couldn't manage it alone.
So how did she do it?
I helped her. She woke me up and I helped her.
Well, I always thought this family might be approaching dissolution. I didn't know dissolution was already upon us. Does Robert know?
No, and he isn't going to. Of course, it was terribly wrong. It was all terribly wrong, but I didn't see. What else?
Please. I can't listen to your attempts to try and justify yourself.
I know this is hard for you to hear. God knows it was hard for me to live through. But if you expect me to disown my daughter, I'm afraid you will be disappointed. Good day.
Well, the Countess, my lady.
Good afternoon, my dear.
Good afternoon.
There's no need to be so prim. I come in peace. Shall I sit here? Now, I've been thinking. I confess, I do not know if I would have had strength, mentally or physically, to carry a corpse the length of this house. But I hope I would have done. You were quite right. When something bad happens, there's no point in wishing it had not happened. The only option is to minimize the damage.
Or try to. But if the Flinchers have got hold of
I've written to Susan. I said it was a story made up by Mr. Pamuk's enemies to discredit him. Even if she doesn't believe me, she won't tell in case it reflects badly on her. The ambassador is dangerous. But then, how many people really go to the Turkish embassy?
It only takes one.
Well, I mean, it's just can't be helped. We can't have him assassinated, I suppose.
Robert still doesn't suspect.
Oh, I should hope not. No, our only way forward is to get Mary settled as soon as possible.
I have news on that score. Matthew has proposed.
My. Has she said yes?
She hasn't said anything yet, except that she's going to have to tell him about Pamuk.
For heaven's sake, why?
She thinks to keep it secret would be dishonourable.
She reads too many novels. I mean, one way or another, everyone goes down the aisle with half the story hidden. The question is, will she accept Matthew?
I'm not sure.
Well, if she doesn't, we'll just have to take her abroad. In these moments, you can normally find an Italian who isn't too picky. We'll give her till the start of the grouse.
Very well. If she turns Matthew down, we'll take her to Rome in the autumn.
It's official.
Thank you for not turning against her. I know that you have rules, and when people break them, you find it hard to forgive. I understand that, and I respect it.
In this case, Mary has the trump card.
What?
Mary is family. And she's not been in touch with Cousin Matthew?
Not that I've heard.
Wonderful news, of course. You must look after yourself.
Don't worry, O'Brien has me wrapped in silken feathers.
You're lucky. I have a horrible feeling Simmons is about to hand in her notice. She's looking very fidgety lately. And I saw her hurrying to meet the postman.
Oh, you poor thing. Is there anything worse than losing one's maid?
I mean, why would she want to leave me? I've been as gentle as a lamb. Most of the time.
What did we miss?
Nothing much. Although you'd have had more invitations than I did.
Have you thought about Matthew?
Of course. But Aunt Rosamond said...
She's written to me I should pay no attention.
But Granny, she has got a point. Mary can't be completely naive.
I don't need your help, thank you.
Mary, listen to me. If you take Matthew now, when his whole future is at risk, he will love you to the end of his days.
Why, Granny, you're a romantic.
I've been called many things, but never that.
Oh.
First electricity, now telephones. Sometimes I feel as if I were living in an H.G. Wells novel. But the young are also calm about change, aren't they? Look at Matthew. I do admire him. Do you? What have I done wrong now?
Oh, please. Don't pretend Mary's sudden reluctance can't be traced back to you.
Well, I shall pretend it. I told her to take him. Your quarrel is with my daughter Rosamond, not me. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. I'm afraid your meddling has cost Mary the only decent offer she'll ever get.
I'm sorry, Mamma, but you know me. I have to say what I think.
Why? Nobody else does.